The unyielding rule of the Galactic Empire. For centuries, the galaxy had been under the control of the Galactic Empire. The Empire, a massive organization stretching across countless star systems, ruled with an iron fist. Their influence reached every corner of the galaxy, and their dominance was unquestioned. All species in the galaxy, no matter how powerful or advanced, had learned one simple truth: resistance was futile. The Empire's power was built on fear. The Emperor and his generals had created a system where no one dared to challenge them. The Empire's fleet, the largest and most powerful in the known universe, swept across the stars. Their warships were colossal, designed to crush anything that stood in their way. Their soldiers, the Imperial Legion, were known for their ruthless efficiency. Entire planets had fallen to the Empire without a single shot being fired, simply because their leaders knew what would happen if they resisted. Every species that came under the Empire's rule quickly understood the cost of defiance. The Empire didn't just destroy military forces, they crushed entire civilizations. Cities were wiped out. People were enslaved. Entire races were eradicated. The message was clear: comply or perish. There were whispers of rebellion, of course, but they were always silenced quickly. Small uprisings were crushed before they could even start. Any attempt to escape the Empire's grasp was met with swift retaliation. The galaxy's vastness did nothing to slow the Empire's reach. It was said that the Emperor's eyes could see across the stars, his spies everywhere, and his fleets could mobilize in moments. There was no hiding from the Empire. No one was safe. In the midst of this fear, one species stood out: the humans, once thought to be insignificant, a species with no real military power, no vast empire to boast of, and no history of galactic conquest. They were seen as weak, primitive even, unfit to rule. The Empire had underestimated them for so long, dismissing them as a minor threat. For years, humanity had quietly endured the Empire's conquests, but they had learned. They had adapted. Humans lived on the distant planet Earth, isolated from the rest of the galaxy by their lack of advanced spacefaring technology. The Empire never paid much attention to them, thinking their small planet was of no importance. But humanity had something the Empire didn't understand: determination. Earth's people had watched the galaxy change around them. They had seen the rise and fall of empires, the shifting alliances, and the constant struggle for power. Despite being so far from the center of galactic affairs, Earth's inhabitants had always dreamed of one day reaching the stars. But the Empire had made it clear: if they did not conform to the will of the Empire, they would be wiped out like the many others who had resisted before them. And so, humanity had accepted its fate, for a time. But within them, the seeds of rebellion were planted. They had learned from the past mistakes of others. They had learned the art of patience, of quietly building up strength while the Empire ignored them. For years, they had watched and waited. And then, one day, humanity did something no one had expected. They built a ship, a simple, yet powerful ship. It wasn't the grand, world-shattering weapon the Empire had feared, but it was a beginning. The ship was built with human ingenuity, with a mix of scavenged technology and their own innovations. It was a ship that could challenge the Empire's forces, if only in small ways. At first, the Empire ignored the humans completely. They dismissed the ship as an insignificant annoyance, a tiny vessel among the countless others the galaxy contained. How could this small, primitive species stand against the might of the Empire? After all, they had crushed entire civilizations before. One ship would not change that. But what the Empire failed to see was that the humans had learned more than just the art of building ships. They had learned the art of war. The humans knew how to fight with limited resources. They knew how to use their environment to their advantage. They knew how to make their opponents underestimate them. And that was their greatest strength. The Empire's generals and leaders believed they were untouchable. They saw no reason to fear a species like humanity. They continued their reign of terror across the galaxy, destroying worlds, enslaving races, and expanding their influence with each passing day. But what they didn't realize was that, in the shadows, something was changing. The humans had already begun to build a fleet. At first it was slow, but it was steady. The tiny ship was just the beginning. More ships were being constructed, each one more powerful than the last. Humans were developing new technologies, refining old ones, and preparing for a war they had never wanted to fight. And then, the Empire made a critical mistake. They made a decision that would change the course of the galaxy forever. They decided to test the humans, to send a fleet of ships to Earth, and force them to submit. They thought this would be easy. The humans were weak after all. What they didn't understand was that the humans had been waiting for this moment. They had been preparing for years. And now, the time had come. The Empire's power was about to be challenged by a force they had never seen before. The rule of fear that had lasted for centuries was about to be shattered. The calm before the storm was over. The humans were ready to fight back. Humanity's hidden strength. The Empire had made a fatal miscalculation, one that would cost them dearly. For years, they had underestimated the people of Earth, viewing them as insignificant and weak. But as the Empire's fleet approached the distant planet, they would soon find out just how wrong they were. Humanity had spent decades building, learning, and preparing in silence. While the Empire focused on subjugating worlds and expanding its borders, the people of Earth had quietly developed technologies that could rival the might of any galactic force. They had harnessed the resources of their planet, reverse-engineered alien technologies, and created weapons that even the most advanced races would struggle to comprehend. The small ship that had once been dismissed as a mere curiosity was now the foundation of an entire fleet. The humans had built more vessels, each one larger, more powerful, and more sophisticated than the last. The fleet was not only technologically advanced, but was also designed with a new kind of warfare in mind, one that the Empire had never faced. Earth's fleet had been designed with flexibility in mind. These ships weren't just about brute strength. They were also built for stealth, speed, and precision. Humanity's ingenuity had turned what the Empire saw as junk into one of the most formidable forces in the galaxy. Every ship had been equipped with cloaking devices, advanced weaponry, and shields that could withstand even the heaviest of attacks. It was a far cry from the Empire's towering warships, but that was what made them so deadly. They were unpredictable, adaptable, and most importantly, they had the element of surprise on their side. As the first wave of Imperial warships entered the solar system, they were met with an eerie silence. The Empire had expected to see Earth's defenses rise up against them, but nothing appeared to be happening. The planet seemed completely vulnerable, like the easy target they had always assumed it to be. The humans had no chance against the Empire's overwhelming fleet, or so they thought. Then, without warning, a series of bright flashes erupted from the darkness of space. The humans had sprung their trap. Small, sleek ships darted through the void, moving at unimaginable speeds. The Empire's massive warships, slow and cumbersome by comparison, struggled to track them. The first shots were fired. Bright, white beams of energy that tore through the Empire's defenses with terrifying precision. These weren't random shots. Each blast was calculated and deadly, aimed at the most vulnerable points of the Empire's ships. The Imperial fleet was taken by surprise. They had expected a straightforward conquest, but what they found was a ferocious, well-coordinated defense. The humans were not simply defending their home. They were fighting for their very survival. The Empire's commanders were left scrambling, trying to make sense of the chaos. Their advanced technologies were no match for the humans' tactical brilliance. The humans fought with an intensity and ferocity that sent shockwaves through the Imperial ranks. For the first time in centuries, the Empire found itself on the back foot. Amid the chaos, the human fleet's flagship, the Titan, emerged from behind a nearby moon. This massive vessel, once seen as nothing more than a rusted relic, had been outfitted with the most advanced weapons humanity could produce. It wasn't just a warship. It was a symbol of humanity's defiance. The Titan fired its main cannon, a devastating energy beam that cleaved through one of the Empire's destroyers like a hot knife through butter. The shockwave rippled through the fleet, sending smaller ships spiraling out of control. The Empire's forces had never seen anything like it. The humans weren't just defending their planet. They were making a statement. The message was clear. Humanity would not be conquered. They would not bow to the Empire's tyranny. They had taken the first step toward reclaiming their future, and they would fight to the last man, woman, and ship to ensure their survival. The Empire, still reeling from the unexpected attack, tried to regroup, but the humans were relentless. Every move the Empire made was countered by the humans, who anticipated their strategies and adapted to their tactics. The tide of the battle began to shift in favor of Earth's fleet. The Empire, so used to crushing opposition with overwhelming force, found itself struggling against an enemy that fought with resourcefulness and cunning. But it wasn't just the technology that made humanity so formidable. It was their spirit. The people of Earth had endured centuries of oppression and fear. They had witnessed the fall of entire civilizations, the destruction of their own kind, and the rise of empires that had ruled through terror. But they had never given up hope. They had never forgotten the strength of their will. As the battle raged on, the Empire began to realize that they had made a grave error. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. The humans, once thought to be weak and insignificant, were proving to be a force that even the mighty Empire could not crush so easily. But this was only the beginning. Humanity had no intention of stopping with just one victory. They had set their sights on something much greater. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for far too long, and the humans were ready to make sure it would never rule again. The cost of underestimating humanity's power was about to become even clearer. The Empire had only just begun to realize the true extent of their mistake, and they would soon learn that Earth's people were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the future of the galaxy itself. The turning tide. The battle in space was fierce and chaotic, as the Empire's once confident fleet began to feel the pressure of humanity's unexpected resilience. The tide of war was turning, and the once feared Empire was starting to realize they had seriously misjudged their enemy. Despite their advanced weapons and warships, they couldn't match the cunning and innovative tactics that the humans employed. In the heart of the battle, the human fleet remained relentless. Ships that once seemed fragile and insignificant now moved with precision, attacking the Empire's fleet from all angles. The Titan, humanity's flagship, played a pivotal role in the attack. With each shot it fired, it brought the Empire closer to defeat, and with every maneuver, humanity's forces displayed a new level of unity and strength. The Imperial commanders were becoming desperate. Their fleets had suffered extensive damage, and morale was quickly deteriorating. Ships that had once been invincible now limped through space, badly damaged and barely operational. The Empire's once proud war machines, designed to crush all who opposed them, were no match for the ferocity of the humans' resolve. What had started as a simple conquest of a seemingly weak planet had now turned into a nightmare for the Empire. On board the Titan, Admiral Sarah Alvarez watched as her fleet executed the final stages of their strategy. The battle was far from over, but the humans were beginning to gain the upper hand. The Empire had underestimated them, and now it was too late to turn back. "Admiral," her communications officer called out, "the enemy command ship is vulnerable. They're trying to escape. This is our chance." Alvarez nodded grimly. This was it, the moment humanity had been waiting for. The Empire's command ship, the Imperial Expanse, was a massive warship, and its destruction could end the war. "Prepare all fighter squadrons. Full speed ahead," Alvarez ordered, her voice steady, despite the tension in the air. "Target the Imperial Expanse. It's time to show them what humanity is capable of." The human fleet moved as one. Fighters and bombers swarmed in perfect formation, cutting through the remains of the Imperial fleet. At the same time, the Titan powered up its main weapon, the energy cannon that had already proven its devastating power. The Empire's remaining ships tried to regroup and protect their command vessel, but it was clear they were fighting a losing battle. The human ships were everywhere, relentlessly attacking, adapting to every new countermeasure the Empire threw at them. In a last-ditch effort, the Imperial Expanse tried to fire its own weapons at the Titan, but humanity had already thought ahead. The Titan's advanced shields absorbed the incoming blasts, and its cannons fired back with brutal efficiency. Alvarez's hand tightened on the controls as the final shot was fired. The energy beam, brighter than 1,000 suns, tore through space, hitting the Imperial Expanse with a force that shook the very stars. The Empire's flagship, once thought to be invincible, exploded into a fiery blaze. The shockwave sent smaller ships scattering, and the remaining Imperial fleet fell into disarray. Victory was within reach. "We've done it," said Lieutenant Harper, Alvarez's right-hand officer. There was disbelief in her voice, but also a deep sense of pride. Humanity had proven their worth. But even in the midst of triumph, Alvarez knew this was not the end. The Empire had many forces scattered across the galaxy, and their defeat in this battle would only be one of many. Yet the message was loud and clear. Humanity had made its stand, and they had shown the galaxy just what they were capable of. As the remnants of the Empire's fleet fled toward the edges of the galaxy, the humans knew this was a new beginning. The Empire might not have been defeated yet, but they would never again underestimate Earth's people. "We'll rebuild, we'll strengthen our forces, and we'll fight again if we have to," Admiral Alvarez thought, staring out into the vastness of space. The stars were silent witnesses to humanity's defiance. The victory was just the first step in a much larger war. It was only a matter of time before humanity would confront the Empire again, this time not as the underdog, but as a force to be reckoned with. As the last of the Imperial fleet limped away, the humans were already preparing. The Empire had been a terrifying adversary, but now they knew. The true power of humanity had only just begun to show itself. The Empire strikes back. The Empire was not one to be defeated so easily. As the remnants of their once mighty fleet retreated into the far reaches of space, their leaders quickly regrouped, realizing that humanity's unexpected victory could not be allowed to stand. The humiliation of defeat was too much to bear. They would regroup, rearm, and strike again with even greater force. The Emperor, furious beyond belief, convened an emergency council with his most trusted commanders. His face, normally composed and calm, was now twisted with rage. His fleet had failed him, and Earth's humanity had dared to challenge his authority. The Emperor was not one to forgive such insolence. The time for retaliation had arrived. "We will crush them," the Emperor growled, his voice full of malice. "Prepare the largest fleet ever assembled. We will make an example of Earth. Their rebellion ends now." Far across the galaxy, on the human side, the victory was bittersweet. Humanity had shown its strength, but they knew the Empire would not give up so easily. The Titan and its allies were busy rebuilding, fortifying their positions, and preparing for the inevitable counterattack. Admiral Alvarez, though victorious, was deeply aware of the looming threat. "We have only delayed the Empire's wrath," she said, pacing back and forth on the bridge of the Titan. "But they will return, and they will come with everything they have." Despite the overwhelming odds, humanity was not afraid. The taste of victory had shown them the true extent of their power, and they were determined to fight on. They had defeated the Empire once, and they could do it again. But this time, they had to be ready for the full might of the Empire's wrath. Alvarez's first order was to increase the production of supercarriers, battle stations, and advanced weapons. She knew they needed more than just a strong defense. They needed the ability to strike back with overwhelming force. Humanity's fleet had grown stronger, and now the galaxy would witness the full power of their vengeance. The battle was about to escalate in ways no one could have predicted. Back on Earth, the situation was tense but hopeful. Leaders from around the world, having witnessed the strength of humanity's forces, began to unify in ways never before seen. For the first time, humanity was united under a common cause, to protect their world and defend their place in the galaxy. The president of the Earth Federation stood before the world's media, addressing billions of people who had been waiting for news of their fate. Humanity has faced the greatest challenge of its existence, and we have shown the galaxy that we will not be subdued, the president declared, voice firm and unwavering. We will rebuild, we will arm ourselves, and we will stand united, ready for whatever the Empire throws at us. The battle is not over, it has just begun. The speech was met with overwhelming support. The Earth Federation rallied its people, pouring resources into rebuilding their fleet and strengthening their defenses. In the vast shipyards orbiting Earth, workers were working around the clock, building massive warships capable of taking on the Empire's most formidable fleets. But even as they rebuilt, the humans knew that a storm was coming. In the far reaches of the galaxy, the Empire's plans were taking shape. The Emperor had commanded his generals to assemble the largest fleet ever created, a fleet that would make Earth's resistance look like a child's plaything. Star destroyers, dreadnoughts, and battle stations, vast, unstoppable machines of war, were being constructed at an alarming rate. The Emperor's secret weapon was in the final stages of development, a superweapon so powerful that it could obliterate entire fleets with a single shot. This weapon, codenamed Annihilator, was the key to crushing humanity's defiance. Once deployed, no human ship would stand a chance. The Empire's commanders worked tirelessly, knowing that this next battle would determine the fate of the galaxy. If the humans were not crushed now, they would become an unstoppable force, one that could challenge the Empire for control of the stars. As the Empire's forces began to assemble, Admiral Alvarez and her team knew they were running out of time. They had to act fast, or humanity's victory would be nothing more than a fleeting moment. They had to prepare for the coming storm and outthink the Empire at every turn. The humans were not naive. They knew the next battle would be their greatest test. They had tasted victory, but the Empire's wrath would be something entirely different. "Get the fleet ready," Alvarez ordered, her voice calm but filled with determination. "We have one chance. We will fight, and we will win. But we must be prepared for the storm that's coming." The Titan and its fleet moved into position, ready for the fight of their lives. As the stars stretched out before them, the humans braced themselves for the inevitable showdown with the Empire. Victory had been sweet, but the cost of underestimating their enemy was about to reveal itself. In the cold depths of space, the final countdown had begun. Would humanity rise again, or would the Empire crush them once and for all? Only time would tell. The battle for the future. The silence of space was broken only by the hum of the engines as the human fleet prepared for its most dangerous confrontation. The warships, now fully equipped with advanced weapons, prepared for a battle that would determine the future of the galaxy. Admiral Alvarez stood on the command bridge of the Titan, staring out at the vastness of space, her mind racing. "We can't afford any mistakes," she muttered to herself, running her fingers through her hair. Her mind was sharp, but even she couldn't deny the weight of the upcoming battle. The Empire was no longer a distant threat. They were coming, and they were coming in full force. Humanity had fought hard to get to this point, and they had proven they could stand their ground. But facing the full might of the Empire was a different beast entirely. The Titan and its fleet were ready, but the Empire had something new: the Annihilator. The superweapon was rumored to be able to wipe out entire fleets in an instant. The Empire had made it clear: humanity's resistance would be crushed, and Earth would be erased from the galactic map. There was no room for failure. Alvarez turned to her first officer, Commander Rodriguez. "Status on fleet readiness." Rodriguez checked his console, eyes scanning the data. "All ships are in position, Admiral. We've also deployed our stealth fighters and long-range missiles. We've prepared everything we can. But with the Annihilator in play, our best chance is to strike first." Alvarez nodded. We'll have to act quickly then. We can't let them launch it. We'll strike hard, strike fast, and take them by surprise. A low murmur ran through the crew as they prepared for the battle. Everyone knew what was at stake. This wasn't just a war to defend humanity's place in the galaxy. It was a fight for their survival. Far across the galaxy, the Empire was closing in. The Annihilator was now fully operational, and the Emperor, standing before a holographic map of the galaxy, surveyed his forces. He was calm, but his eyes were filled with unspoken fury. "Destroy them," the Emperor ordered, voice cold and commanding. "Humanity must be eradicated before they become a real threat." With the wave of his hand, the fleet set its course. Countless star destroyers, dreadnoughts, and warships moved forward, their massive forms blocking out the stars. The time had come to wipe out humanity. Back on Earth, the situation was dire. The global leaders had seen the reports, and they knew the Empire was coming with everything they had. Humanity had built powerful defenses, but the Empire's fleet dwarfed anything they could muster. The Titan was humanity's last hope. World leaders gathered, coordinating efforts to provide support. The Earth Federation, once a fractured collection of nations, now stood united in the face of extinction. Earth's cities were fortified, and weapons were being deployed, but everyone knew the real battle would be fought in space. "Make no mistake," President Graves said, speaking to the people of Earth. "We will fight to the last. Our victory is not assured, but we have shown that humanity is not weak. We stand strong in the face of unimaginable odds." The human fleet, led by the Titan, launched from their hidden spaceports, undetected by the Empire's long-range scanners. Stealth fighters darted into the stars, cloaking themselves from enemy eyes, as the main fleet took up formation. Admiral Alvarez stood at the helm of the Titan, her heart pounding. The enemy fleet was already in sight, and it was massive, larger than anything humanity had faced before. The Annihilator was out there, and they needed to find it before it could be used. "Commander, send out the fighters. I want a full sweep of their fleet," Alvarez ordered, her voice unwavering. Rodriguez nodded. "Aye, Admiral. Fighters away." The battle had begun. The fighters tore through space, narrowly dodging the Empire's sensor systems. The human fleet remained silent, moving into position for their attack. It was a delicate dance. If they struck too soon, they would alert the Empire and lose the element of surprise. But if they waited too long, they would give the Empire time to unleash the Annihilator. "Report, Commander," Alvarez demanded, eyes scanning the view screen. Rodriguez's hands flew over the controls. "We've located it, Admiral. The Annihilator is in the heart of the fleet, protected by a defensive grid. Prepare the long-range missiles," Alvarez said, her voice hardening. "We'll have to destroy the grid before we can reach the superweapon." The tension on the bridge was palpable. Every member of the crew knew the stakes. The next few moments would determine the fate of humanity. In the Empire's flagship, the Emperor watched from his throne, the large hologram of the battlefield before him. He sneered at the human resistance. "They are foolish to think they can stop us," the Emperor muttered. "The Annihilator will end their rebellion once and for all." But even as he spoke, the human fleet was moving closer. Alvarez had no intention of letting the Annihilator fire. Her strategy was simple: destroy the defensive grid, destroy the superweapon, and then take out the fleet. It was a bold move, but it was their only chance. As the human fleet moved into position, the first barrage of missiles was launched, and the battle erupted into chaos. The full might of the Empire was brought to bear, but humanity fought back with everything they had. The Titan led the charge, firing its heavy weapons, cutting through the Empire's defenses. The cost was high, but humanity would not give up. Not now. Not ever. The turning point. The battle was now in full force, and space itself seemed to tremble under the sheer weight of the conflict. Explosions lit up the dark expanse as ships collided, firing on each other with deadly precision. The human fleet, despite its smaller size, fought fiercely, with the Titan at the forefront of the assault. Admiral Alvarez paced along the command bridge, her mind calculating every move. They had successfully breached the outer defenses of the Empire's fleet, but the real challenge still lay ahead, destroying the annihilator before it could fire. The human fighters darted in and out of the enemy lines, trying to disrupt the Empire's coordination. Yet, despite their best efforts, the Empire's dreadnoughts continued to regroup, relentlessly advancing. "Commander Rodriguez, we've taken heavy fire. Shields are holding, but we're losing fighters faster than we can replace them," reported Lieutenant Brooks, the communication officer. Her voice trembled, though she did her best to mask it. "Keep pushing forward, Lieutenant. We cannot afford to let up," Alvarez ordered firmly, never once showing any sign of fear. She knew that hesitation now could cost them everything. Outside the ship, the Titan's long-range weapons fired with deadly accuracy, targeting the enemy's smaller vessels. But the annihilator, the superweapon at the center of the Empire's fleet, was still hidden behind a thick defensive barrier. It was clear that this would be their final obstacle. "Admiral, we're running out of time," shouted Commander Rodriguez, his voice tight with urgency. "We have just one shot at this. The annihilator will be fully operational in less than 20 minutes. The seconds felt like hours. Each tick of the clock was another step closer to the possibility of total annihilation. Alvarez glanced toward the view screen, where the Empire's flagship loomed large, surrounded by its formidable fleet. Somewhere in the heart of that mass of ships lay the annihilator. A single miscalculation, and humanity would be reduced to ash. "Send in the stealth bombers. They'll have the best chance of getting close enough to disable the annihilator," Alvarez decided, her voice steady despite the pressure. Stealth bombers, smaller, more agile than the regular fleet ships, had been specially designed for such a task. The bombers could infiltrate the Empire's defenses unnoticed, but time was running out. The Titan and the rest of the human fleet could only hold off the Empire for so long. "Initiating bomber launch sequence now," said Rodriguez, his fingers dancing over the controls. Far across the battlefield, a massive Imperial warship, bearing the insignia of the Emperor himself, loomed ominously. On its command deck, the Emperor stood, his hands clasped behind his back. He observed the human resistance with a sneer. "They are pathetic. Do they truly believe they can stand against the might of the Empire?" he hissed. His voice, cold as ice, reverberated through the massive halls of his flagship. The Imperial officers around him dared not speak, but they shared his disdain for the humans. They had underestimated humanity from the beginning, dismissing them as weak and primitive. Now, however, they were beginning to see that humans were not as easily broken as they had believed. The Emperor's lips curled into a cruel smile as he watched the progress of the human fleet. "We will crush them. The annihilator will finish this." Back on the Titan, the stealth bombers, cloaked in near invisibility, approached the heart of the enemy fleet. The crew watched tensely as the bombers weaved in and out of Imperial ships, closing in on their target. The annihilator was now within range. "This is it," Admiral Alvarez muttered, eyes narrowing as she tracked the bombers on the radar. The bombers were in position. "Launch all remaining missiles. Target their main defenses." The Titan's weapons fired in unison, missiles streaking toward the Imperial fleet. Explosions erupted, creating chaos in the Imperial lines. For a brief moment, the Empire's defenses were disrupted. It was the opening the bombers needed. The bombers' commanders, skilled and determined, pushed forward. One by one, they made their way past the remaining Imperial warships. The time for hesitation had passed. They had trained for this moment, and now they had to see it through. Back in the Emperor's command room, the alarm bells rang loudly. "What is this?" the Emperor barked. His eyes narrowed in disbelief as he watched the bombers approach the annihilator. It was too late to stop them now. "Fire everything," he roared. "We cannot let them succeed. Prepare the annihilator for launch." But as the Imperial fleet fired their weapons, the stealth bombers made their move. With pinpoint precision, they released a series of explosive charges aimed directly at the Annihilator's core. The explosion was violent, a massive shockwave reverberating through space as the superweapon crumbled under the human assault. The Titan crew watched in stunned silence as the Annihilator erupted in flames. The Empire's prized weapon had been destroyed. The human fleet had won the battle. Direct hit, Lieutenant Brooks exclaimed. The Annihilator is down. The Imperial fleet is retreating. A cheer erupted on the command deck, but Admiral Alvarez remained calm, her face grim. "Don't celebrate yet," she said, her voice as cold as ever. "The battle is far from over. We may have destroyed their weapon, but we still have an entire fleet to deal with." With the Annihilator destroyed, the momentum had shifted, but the fight was still raging, and the Empire wasn't finished yet. As the human fleet closed in, the true test of their strength was yet to come. The dawn of a new era. The aftermath of the battle left the vast expanse of space littered with debris and broken ships. The Empire's once dominant fleet, now fractured and in disarray, was retreating into the depths of the galaxy, licking its wounds. The Titan stood proudly in the center of the battlefield, its hull scared but intact. Humanity had delivered a blow that would be remembered for millennia. Admiral Alvarez stood on the command bridge, gazing at the retreating enemy ships. Her face was a mask of determination, though a glimmer of satisfaction flickered in her eyes. They had done the impossible. The Empire had underestimated humanity at every turn, and now they had paid the price. But there was no time for rest. The war was not over. The Annihilator had been destroyed, but the Empire was still a powerful force, and the Emperor was not one to simply accept defeat. They had won a battle, but the fight for the galaxy's future was far from over. "Admiral, what's our next move?" Commander Rodriguez asked, stepping up beside her. His voice was calm, but the tension in his eyes showed just how much was at stake. "We press forward," Alvarez replied. "We've proven our strength, but now we must take the fight to their heart. We'll chase them to their capital, and we'll end this once and for all." She turned to face her crew, her gaze sweeping across the faces of those who had fought alongside her. They had been through so much, endless battles, countless losses, but they had made it this far. They were no longer just defending Earth. They were defending the future of the galaxy. "Prepare the fleet," Alvarez continued. "We'll leave no stone unturned. The Empire must fall, and humanity will be the one to lead this galaxy into a new age." Meanwhile, aboard the Empire's flagship, the Emperor paced furiously in his command room. His eyes burned with anger as he surveyed the remnants of his fleet. The Annihilator was gone, shattered by the audacious humans who had dared to stand against his might. The humiliation was unbearable. "The Annihilator was our ultimate weapon," he growled, slamming his fist against the console in front of him. How could they have destroyed it? His generals stood in silence, afraid to speak, knowing that to anger the Emperor further was to court disaster. The Emperor turned to them, his eyes cold as ice. "Do not mistake this for weakness," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "The humans may have won a battle, but the war is far from over. We will rebuild, and when we do, they will regret ever challenging us." On Earth, the people watched in awe as the human fleet, having won a significant victory, made its way back toward their homeworld. News of the Annihilator's destruction spread across the planet like wildfire, igniting a sense of pride and unity among the people. For the first time in centuries, humanity was no longer a species to be underestimated. They were a force to be reckoned with. But even as celebrations rang out on Earth, the leaders of the human colonies knew the fight was far from over. The Empire had not been defeated. It had been wounded. The Emperor was vengeful, and his thirst for power would only grow. Humanity's victory had been hard-earned, but the true test of their strength was yet to come. As the human fleet prepared for its next move, a strange stillness settled over the galaxy. The Empire, The wounded was not gone. The Emperor would rise again, and he would bring his wrath upon humanity with all the fury he could muster. But now, the galaxy knew one thing. Humanity had awakened, and they were no longer the weak, defenseless species the Empire had once believed them to be. The tide of the war had shifted. Humanity had made its stand, and it was clear they were no longer the prey in this galactic struggle. They had proven that they were the predators, and the Empire's reign of fear would soon come to an end. As the Titan and its fleet set course for the heart of the Empire, Admiral Alvarez stood on the bridge, staring out into the vast unknown. The journey ahead would be long and dangerous, but humanity was ready. They had faced the impossible, and they had prevailed. The fight was not over, but it was now humanity's time to take control. "Let's finish this," she whispered to herself, a steely determination in her voice. The battle for the galaxy's future was about to enter its final stage, and humanity was determined to see it through to the end. The Emperor had ruled through fear, but now, humanity would show him the true meaning of power. The war was far from finished, but humanity had made its mark on the galaxy. The Empire's reign was crumbling, and the future of the galaxy rested in the hands of those who dared to challenge it. And as the fleet ventured deeper into enemy territory, one thing was certain: humanity would not be easily defeated again. The final battle awaited, and this time, humanity would not be the ones running from fear. They would be the ones making it.